And now, the First Alert Storm Team, live from the 13 Now Digital Desk. This is Tropic Topics, sponsored by Peden Heating and Air Conditioning and Mariana Toyota.
Good morning, everyone. I'm News 13 meteorologist Kristen Kennedy here with an update on some things to talk about. We're continuing to monitor a potential tropical low in the northern Gulf of Mexico, and we're going to break down the very latest details and what you can expect here locally from that system here on Tropic Topics. So let's go ahead and get right into it. At this time, it's been a pretty wet start to the day. We've had quite a bit of scattered showers and storms rolling in across the Gulf of Mexico with a stalled out boundary just to our north. That boundary has kind of limited where all this tropical moisture is able to go, so it's just continuing to build up, and we're getting those pop-up showers and storms mainly in the afternoon hours. But this morning we've really seen an increase in tropical moisture coming in straight from the Gulf, and it's kind of had a little bit of a spin to it, typical and similar to what would be a tropical system. How you can see those rain bands coming in and moving from, say, the southeast, pushing towards the north and then to the northwest there, impacting our coastal locations first with very heavy rainfall, and then essentially deteriorating a bit, moving further inland with mainly light rainfall ongoing at this time in our northernmost locations around I-10. Now, we're still going to continue to be dealing with these rain bands across the Panhandle for the next several days due to not only a stalled out boundary to our north, but another front on the way that will be stalling down across the Panhandle by, I'd say, about this time tomorrow, late morning into the afternoon. Now, on top of that, we do have an upper level low just off the coast of Florida at this time, the Panhandle of Florida, excuse me, and we'll also be watching for a surface low to try to meet that upper level low and give way to the potential to see a tropical system developing in the Gulf of Mexico. It kind of depends on how far south that low is able to bounce. The further south, the more time it's going to spend over water and have potential to develop into a tropical depression or a tropical storm. If it does not really get over the Gulf much and just meanders around the Gulf Coast, we could still see some very weak tropical elements, but likely not a storm or depression coming from this. So we'll continue to keep a close eye on it. At this time, the National Hurricane Center also keeping a close eye on the system. And you can see the hatched area there outlining where potential tropical formation may occur. At this time, the chance for formation is not very high. It's at just 30% over the next 5 days. So even though the threat for formation right now is not very concerning, it's on the lower end, that doesn't mean that we're not going to have any impacts from the system. Regardless of whether or not we see a tropical low develop, we are going to get multiple rounds of rainfall on the way, not only today, but for the next several days, as some sort of low, whether it's tropically developed or just an upper level low, is going to sit across the Panhandle as well as the Gulf Coast and spin in moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, giving way to widespread showers and storms in the forecast for the remainder of the day today through tomorrow and lasting also through the weekend. So we are looking at very heavy rainfall at times that could also lead to flash flooding, as there won't be a whole lot of movement with the low to our west, as well as storms building in. If they barely move, they're going to produce heavy rainfall and could lead to flash flooding, which is why we did have a couple of flash flood warnings in effect across the Panhandle yesterday, specifically around Mariana, as well as Panama City and the beaches yesterday evening. Because of these storms that just popped up, they produced very heavy rainfall, barely moved. They sat there for about an hour to 2 hours and produced anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain in that time period. So the main concern that we're going to be talking about over the next several days is the threat of flash flooding when it does come to rainfall. But we also could see some impacts from high surf and dangerous rip currents as well as we continue into the next several days. Now, our rainfall totals as of this morning generally around 1 to 3 inches from the storms that did develop yesterday. As we progress into the next several days, we're looking at Wednesday here, Thursday, Friday, and even into the weekend, we're calling for around 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. This is just one model here, so you could see by Sunday evening into Monday morning, it's keeping our rain totals right around 2 to 3 inches. Other models are calling for much higher than that. So we've generally gone with a composite of 4 to 6 inches across the Panhandle with some isolated amounts of 9 inches or more. And again, those isolated higher amounts would be from storms that barely move, produce heavy rainfall, flash flooding, and lead to higher rainfall totals. I do want to remind you that this is a very complicated forecast, and it's also a forecast that is based off of what ifs right now, because we do not have a tropical low out in the Gulf. Nothing has formed as of yet. What we are just continuing to see is tropical moisture impacting our locations and giving way to scattered showers and thunderstorms that are then leading to heavy rainfall. So based off what we do know right now, we're forecasting the high rainfall totals as well as increase in the surf. We'll likely see high surf advisories and dangerous rip currents over the next several days as the Gulf of Mexico gets a little bit choppier, and it could lead to double red flags flying across our area beaches as well. So I know there's a lot of folks in for vacation hoping to get some sunshine. Not necessarily going to see a whole lot of that, and it may actually be safer for you and yourself as well your family members to stay out of the Gulf of Mexico over the next couple of days. We already have single red flags flying right now, and they may be upgraded to double red flags as conditions start to worsen with higher surf over, I'd say, through the end of the work week and possibly even lasting through the weekend. If we do get a tropical low, I do want to stress this, if we do get a tropical low to develop, if we get a named storm, whether that be a tropical depression or a tropical storm, the next name on the list is Danielle. If we get that to actually form, and it takes a couple days to move because there's not really any major weather patterns that are really specifically going to help a low of any sort move across our area, it's likely going to lead to higher rainfall totals. So what you're seeing on the graphic here, right now we're calling for 4 to 6. That's without a tropical low. With isolated amounts of 9 or higher, those numbers could double. So if we do get that tropical low to develop, we could be dealing with rainfall totals anywhere from 6 to 12 inches with isolated higher amounts. As a tropical low, if it does develop, will lead to stronger storms, rain bands that are packing more of a punch with rainfall, and as they continually hit us over and over and over again, those rainfall totals will be increasing. So that will be something that we pay very close attention to. But again, this is all based off limiting factors at this point. There has not been a tropical low develop. The models are still all over the place and as to what's actually going to happen. So we are going to be fine-tuning this forecast a lot come the next several days. Here's a graphic to show for you based off just potential rainfall totals. This is kind of the what if scenario. Right now we are dealing with the highest amounts of 5 to 9 inches along your Gulf Coast location. So from anywhere from, say, Franklin County to southern Gulf County, all the way out to southern Alabama as well as Mississippi, strictly the coastline, and a little bit further inland from Mobile to those inland locations there in Alabama, could see 5 to 9 inches, but worst case scenario, isolated amounts of 14 inches or more. That's if we do get the tropical low to form and develop. Of course, it'll still depend on the track of the system. If it just stays over the Gulf of Mexico before shifting to the northeast, then we could have higher rainfall totals. But if it bounces around, say west to east, those numbers are going to change a whole lot as well. So this is kind of just a what if scenario at this time. We're going to be watching these numbers likely change. But regardless, whether or not we do have that tropical low form or we just have tropical moisture that's going to be spitting up from the Gulf of Mexico and giving way to widespread showers and storms just about every single day this week, it is going to be very, very wet. So you do need to make preparations for this wet weather, staying weather alert. Have our Storm Track 13 app on your mobile devices if you haven't downloaded it already. If we do get anything tropical to form on our radar, there's different overlays that you can show where the tropical track will be. You can also access our forecast updates straight from the app. So if we're ever not on with a newscast, it's all there in your pocket for you. And it's actually our forecast. We go into the app and we edit it so that the numbers you see on the morning during our newscast or during the evening when you're watching for that 7-day, you're going to get the exact same numbers downloaded there to your app. It's not models, it's not algorithms, it's exactly what we're forecasting here at your First Alert Storm Team meteorologists doing the work to try to keep you and your family safe. So again, just be prepared for a week of wet weather. Also be prepared for flash flooding. If you do live in a flood zone area, I wouldn't say it's a bad idea to have some sandbags ready just in case we do see extensive flooding with any storms that are very slow moving. We're again looking at a lot of rainfall, anywhere from 5 to 9 inches of rain through Sunday into next week, with isolated higher amounts if we do get a tropical low to form based off its track. Again, there's still a lot to fine tune here with this forecast, so stay with us here on News 13. We're going to have another Tropic Topics update a little bit later in the week with Ross and Grace, and of course we'll be detailing any changes that do come up on our newscast, as well as our website mypanhandle.com.
Thank you for watching Tropic Topics, sponsored by Peden Heating and Air Conditioning and Marietta Toyota. Be sure to download the StormTrack 13 app today to stay up to date with all of the latest weather information. For more local news, weather, sports, and more, visit mypanhandle.com.